Hi everyone, welcome to LaunchPoint Into the Control Room, where we're going to be talking pretty much all about LaunchPoint, honestly. So, everyone welcome.
Welcome to the stream. We have PT, we have me, Moo, and we have Wug.
Hi.
We are all LaunchPoint admins, all heading up different sections of LaunchPoint. Unfortunately, Nightwing couldn't be here with us today. He is a very busy bean. But yeah, we appreciate your time. You taking your time to come and watch this today and listen to us chat about what happens behind the scenes of LaunchPoint. So we're going to start off, as you can see, with how we began on LaunchPoint, or how it began, which is basically going to be me talking, because initially PT and Wug weren't really involved, and even I wasn't actually really involved. It was Nightwing, Carb and Walker who came up with the idea. They got a bit annoyed after MPDC 1. Well, not annoyed, but they realised how much of a good idea it was to be able to practice like that. So they wanted to practice and make something for low level in the same style. They brainstormed and then brought me in, and I was just supposed to design stuff, really. But no, I came into the server, Knight gave me staff, and I'm like, okay, I guess I am staff now. That was it. That is how I joined LaunchPoint. The LaunchPoint staff. And that's exactly what happened to Wug. And that's exactly what happened to PT. Do you want to say, Wug, how you managed to get into LaunchPoint staffing?
More or less, Nightwing dragged me in and said, "Hey, you're a helper now." And I said, okay, and just looked at the role and how pretty it was for a little bit. It took a little while, but Slate, who is someone else behind the scenes that you'll hear about some more, developed a bot that meant I could help out with Verif a lot more. And, well, I did a lot.
A lot. Cycle 1. Cycle 1. And then PT came in, I can't remember the month anymore. It feels like you've been here forever.
Yeah, it was like around February, March-ish.
Yep. And basically, Wug did exactly what Knight did to us. She did to PT.
Yeah, it's pretty funny because at the time, Wug was coaching my team at the time, Cephadots. And it was just something that happened in the background because she found out I did programming work. And then she was like, hey, you want to come on? And I was like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, that's basically how all the main staff ended up staffing LaunchPoint. It was like, here's the role, or do you want to do this? Sure, that's it. It did change a little down the road, as some of our newer staff know. They went through interviews to actually get the, quote, job at LaunchPoint. But all of us heads were kind of just thrust into the position, which it's a miracle that we're still here.
It really is.
We did
Yeah.
it for a while too.
Oh yeah, a long while. It technically July of 2020
For you.
for me. That's when LaunchPoint generally started, or the idea. And then
I joined around October, and I really got into it at around the end of October and November. That's when I took over
you
Verif.
must have. I think you were in Cycle 1 though, so Cycle 1 September, because I think. Oh, I'm misremembering. Oh no, you're right, because Cycle 0 was September. Yeah.
Yes.
There's a lot of cycles, guys. I'm surprised. Just today I said to Wug, wait, we're in double digits of cycles? Like, we're that far into double digits? My mind is blown. Hi, Breed. This is my bird. I cannot shut her up, so she is here to stay. She's LaunchPoint staff now. But yeah, I'm going to show you what LaunchPoint initially looked like. It was going to be called LowPoint. Actually, it launched as LowPoint, which does not sound great. It's not at all. I didn't question it. I didn't ask Night to change it. They were just like, I'm just the designer. You guys come up with the ideas and stuff. I just wanted to design stuff. And so I didn't, go for, I didn't say, hey, maybe we should change the name. Perhaps I should have, because no one took the name well. Not at all. But yeah, what you're seeing right now is some of the early concepts I had for, LaunchPoint at the time. And just throwing ideas together for them to take a pick. So many different colours, and you can see what became the actual LaunchPoint colour, as well as what became the grad colour. But yeah, low point. There's not one you want to do. Not a name to choose. And when it changed to LaunchPoint, I had already designed all the graphics, so I kind of went, we have to fit it in. It has to begin with L. Whatever you do, it has to begin with L, because I'm not redoing all of this, because otherwise none of it works. So we kind of brainstormed and came up with LaunchPoint. That was our best bet, really.
Was there any other changes that we made after Cycle 0?
You can actually see there are arrows with outlines. It was originally an arrow with a black outline, and this is where we mention one of the pillars of what LaunchPoint became. Callow, who was on oh man, it's escaped me.
Colopsia?
Colopsia. Callow was on Colopsia. She came in and she said, guys, no. Not exactly like that, we're just weird. But she came in and said, low point sounds bad. We originally had voting, and she said, you don't need voting at low level, you just need practice. And we all kind of looked at each other and went, yep, that's very true. So Callow is the reason that LaunchPoint is not called low point. It's not got voting, and it's not got a stupid black outline around the triangle. But yeah, without Callow there, we wouldn't have been where we are right now. It would have been such a different server. And because of Callow, Verif was opened up, because we had to verify every player who came into LaunchPoint, which meant researching people and looking at their results and everything to see whether they're within the skill range and everything. It's not like voting where you can go, hey, you guys sort out who's in this server or have this special role in this server, and whoever's voted in is voted in. We have a solid cap, which means it's easier for people to get to know each other and network in this sort of system. That also led on to needing a leaderboard, because if we're not having voting, we need something for people to work towards, and that was the leaderboard. We didn't really want a leaderboard in that sense. How it is right now, ideally it was going to be some sort of automated system where we didn't have to work everything out. The reason it is the way it is right now is because we cannot manually work out any sort of system to rank people. That has to be all done by a bot. We can't do that ourselves, especially with how many people are in LaunchPoint right now. I don't think... Is there anything you guys remember from the early times? I don't know how much you knew of LaunchPoint before you even joined.
Literally nothing at all. I didn't start my comp journey until last August during the Open in July, and
yeah.
When I was on my first team, we learned about LaunchPoint in like November, and it seemed pretty well established at that time. But it wasn't until later, obviously, where I found out that it was actually around that time that you guys started. But
yeah,
it was definitely impressive at the time. But
oh damn,
otherwise,
nice.
there wasn't really anything that I knew about it at that time.
Yeah, Watson's right. It sounds so low point sounds so depressing.
I remember when Nightwing brought me in onto Low Point, and I thought he was joking. That is how bad the name was. I really thought he was joking until he sent me the link to the server.
And then you were like,
Oh, it's real.
Man, I can't believe we launched with that name. But yeah, do you remember anything else from the early time?
I don't.
Yeah.
At all. It's all a bit of a blur.
Yeah, it really is. I'm struggling to pull. We asked Knight to write us a little bit to say, hey, how did it initially start before I was even there? And he gave us a little bit of what happened. But even then, it wasn't much before I joined. But yeah, it feels so long ago. It doesn't even feel. It feels like 2 years ago. But at the same time, it's mad that it's even been a year.
For real.
Yeah. to know you.
No, and
Go on,
yeah, and even for someone like me, who like came in March and it's already November, time has just gone by so fast. And even at the time that I came in, we'll talk about it later, but it's just a completely new place now. I don't know if anyone else that is not part of LaunchPoint staff has noticed, but it really is.
Yeah. But yeah, that's basically the beginning. I don't think there's anything else I remember from it. It's just been that long. There was initially, obviously, what mentioned that she was a helper. Initially, it was just a couple of us as the heads, but we weren't exactly. We were still staff, and later on it became admin. We sort of built a structure that we'll talk about later.
There is one other person that we should mention, and that is May.
Oh yeah, May.
May was amazing, and she's probably the only other reason that LaunchPoint it started as strongly as it did.
Yeah, it definitely, the initial start of Low Point, we kind of stumbled, but Callow caught it. We picked ourselves back up. We brought May on board because she did start asking questions in the help desk, and it just helped so much to have even another person on. And then we started building upwards from there, and May really did push, and she was a great person to be staffing in the general server. She's a really nice person. I believe her tag is Miss May Rising now. Yep.
Yes.
But yeah, that is a general origin story, as it were. Thank you, Kippo. I'm so glad that the community's taken it and run with it and loves it as much as the effort that we put in, because LaunchPoint is nothing without the community that's been built, really. So, our next topic is something that no one really sees. It's me. Hi. No one really notices me. Hi, PT.
We noticed you.
Well, my lovely staff notice me, but I am the one spamming at everyone in announcements. Me and my lovely comm staff, well, production staff as we are now. That is me, Stan, Toka, and Salem. We are all the production staff. We are the people who give you the announcements. We write all of those. We get all the links. We make all the resources, all the graphics. Well, the graphics is mainly on me because I'm rather possessive of my graphics. But yeah, everything that goes out to people, from the tweets to everything down to a single emote in a announcement, that's all us editing it and making sure it goes out in the way. And something that everyone's been quite excited about recently is the new timestamps that we've started using, which, as much as like it's really nice to get the credit for, I actually learnt this from IPL. I don't believe they use it all that often, but I remember Vincent from IPL just showing this to me, and I'm thinking, no one's going to ever ask about time zones again. I can just say that's in your time. eliminating one question from help desk is the best feeling. To streamline something like that is just amazing. But yeah, this is, I think people don't quite realize what it takes to write the announcement, because you have to consider so many different things. We have an announcement check channel that is open to all of the staff, and my production team, we just post any announcement or tweet in there, and then it's up to everyone else to say, hey, maybe change this, you spelt that wrong, which is a big one from me. You forgot to put in this, or change this, it sounds slightly weird, or that looks perfect. So this is the silent side that no one sees. Yep, typos, autocorrect, all of that. That and the graphics, which I am going to take a moment to plug myself, because I do all the graphics. I do the graphics for LaunchPoint and for anything in the future. And I also worked on Sue, which was the European tournament, and I've also worked a lot on IPL now. I can't even remember the full list. Oh, there it is. King of the Castle, Super Jump, input on Reef Rushdown. There's 2 more coming, I think. No. I'm designing a lot right now in so many different places. I don't know who's for who. I'm a very busy bee, including designing all of this for the words for the stream, for the podcast. I've been talking a lot. When I run out of words, I just say words because my mind has to reset.
Yeah, can we get a shout out for Moo for literally getting all these designs out? These don't just come out of nowhere. Come on.
I mean, I was sitting here just 20 minutes before thinking, have I done everything? Are all the announcements set? Even the announcement that goes out for this, actually, Wug wrote that because I was panicking about other stuff. And I'm like, please, can you write this? I can't do one more announcement right now. There's an announcement coming later about the stream, so that is going to be written by me. Toka's written a tweet that is going out for at the end of the stream, and it's just, there's so much that people don't quite consider that goes on in production, and obviously a lot of other orgs have this as well. You have those silent people like Vincent and Inkfairy in an IPL. You have Jub in Little Squid League. There are so many behind the scenes people that don't get seen or heard, but I quite like shouting about myself, so I will.
As you
and
should.
I'll happily shout for all of them as well, as I sometimes post bits on behind the scenes stuff. But that's really it for production. That's what we do. Oh, and I guess the LPDC streams are run by us as well. Man, we'll talk about LPDCs later, so I'm going to save that for that, because that is a lot to go through.
There's even more production that goes into it aside from the stream, because don't forget all of those documents and every form.
Every form.
Moo has hard produced a lot of things for LaunchPoint Draft Cups, and I'm really excited for you to all see how much she really...
I'm not good at taking compliments, thank you.
But that's not the only thing that you've done. Not at all, because you've also done match reports. And
Yes.
you did it for a very long time.
Oh yeah, that hell. Thanks for reminding me. Which segues nicely onto our next topic, which is match reports, which is more of me talking, because don't worry, you'll be finished with my voice soon, because PT is our newest match reports whiz. But from cycle 0, yes, we had a cycle 0 leaderboard. From cycle 0 to don't even know, April. I think it was
more
April.
like April.
So from September 2020 to April 2021. No. I can't English right now. What?
No, that's right.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's been this long.
So
Match
literally
reports look
6
like
to 8,
government
6 to 8
torture.
months.
Yes.
Kipu, you've hit the nail right
That
on the
is the
head.
nail on the head because, jeez, man, that is exactly it. What you? How long did you say PT?
6 to 8
So
months.
practically 6 to 8 months.
Yep, 6 to 8 months. I was doing match reports, and let me just show you exactly what I did with match reports. Because oh boy, this is something everyone will be quite familiar with, and I am scarred by this image just in general. But this is what I would see at the start of every cycle, and every time we'd get a lovely little draft happening, which I love to see. It will be my job to come to the leaderboard and put it in. This includes, for each draft, there are 8 people. For each person, there are about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different inputs. And then if they're a new person, you've got to add their name. So 6 different inputs per person. Times that by 8, and it just gets so many different inputs that you have to do for one draft alone. And then if you fast forward to like November, December, things start really picking up, and there are about 9 drafts a day.
Especially when winter break hits, and then it's
yeah.
even more.
Winter break, yep, that one was something. And then you also have to consider the fact I was also in uni and doing uni work, and then I'd finish uni work and go, oh no, there's match reports to do. But yeah, this is actually public, so anyone can go and see. Let's have a look. It's lovely people from Cycle Zero. Shout outs to all these people who played just off the bat. Oh my god, Black Wolf's on here! She's staff now! Yes, let's go!
That's crazy.
It's amazing how many of those players are now graduates.
It really is. We've got almost all of, I'm pretty sure almost all of Beat Squids are here. They're amazing. Here's May. Flaming, Samino. Oh my gosh, Keeper, yeah. Lily. Advocate, Armano, Bankid, who is actually Reef now, who will be joining us a little bit later for the LPDC stuff. Just, yeah, all of these people. What is this? Okay.
A secret section.
Oh, is this the points calculation? I did not realise I made that public in the first. Okay, so this is how we calculated points. State of the art, right? You just filter and then give them points 1 to 10. That was it. Because I could not handle anything else.
So
How
Moo,
much
you literally had to sit down in one sitting and just edit each cell for every player that had to be edited. And also you said
Yep.
whenever there's a new player, you had to add them in, and then you had to edit literally each cell for them, and just like the calculations in chat, like 9 times 8, that's
Yep.
72 times all these columns.
Yep, definitely. Some of them do fill in themselves. So like you see I put 1 in set wins, and then it updates sets played, because formulas exist, and that also does the win rate for us. But assuming that it was a 3, 4, you get that. Now, also consider the fact that from cycle 0 to cycle, I guess February, March even, so almost the whole time I was doing it, we did not have formulas in the sets wins, set losses, games won, and game losses, which means I got very good at plussing by 4. Addition by 4 I can do now, because I had to manually work out set wins +1, 2, games won 4 + 4, 8, and then however many they lost. So let's say 2 is 5. The mental maths. Man, it was something. I'm so glad it wasn't anything more than 4. Because otherwise that would have been mad. Yeah, it's 72-ish inputs per person if none of them were on the board before. And this is what I would do every cycle. 9 per day, and just... It was mad. Absolutely mad. And initially it was fine. Because you know what? We were just starting out. But eventually it became pretty much unbearable. No, not pretty much. Unbearable. The match reports usually took, for one draft, assuming that I was in a flow and I didn't make a mistake, I could do one in about 3 to 4 minutes, I think. Maybe even less. I'm going above because assuming there's mistakes and stuff, and then 3 minutes per 9, and that starts to stack up because I can't do my 9, 10, 21, 27. I'm very bad at maths, which makes me wonder why I was doing the match reports.
For a person who just came into match reports and they're like 2 days in to helping out, how long do you think it would take them for each?
Oof. That would be more like 4 or 5. Some people came in and really got the hang of it pretty quickly and could do it quicker than I was. My mental maths is not the greatest, which is why it took me about 2 to 3 per draft. As shown by the fact that I couldn't do 9 times 3. But yeah, that became very unbearable. As we started to pick up, we have 400 players in LaunchPoint right now, and we were getting almost plus 50 per cycle. Some people were exiting, but it was not the same amount of people exiting as it was people joining. So it just got exponentially more and more, to the point where, I'm going to be honest, I had several breakdowns over this. And this is where we are going to drop a very big bombshell on you, because I almost quit because of match reports. And yes, we got staff in to help, but it was very rocky. And it was always very rocky. There aren't a lot of surviving staff from when we initially got people on to where we are now. So we had 2 different times that we recruited staff. The first time it was more of a casual thing. The second time we did interviews and really went through it just to make sure that we got people who really wanted to put their work into it. But because I was struggling so much, and I had uni, I was writing a dissertation at the time. I was in my final year, and I had to leave for a month, and I had to leave it up to the rest of the staff. And at that point, Nightwing was doing it, and I went, "What? Wait a minute, Nightwing's also in uni and also doing things." And it got to the point where I couldn't do this with our staff set. Nothing against them, because they all had lives as well. It was simple as that. But it still fell on me to do it because, you know, I was the head. And there was one particular point where I was doing the match reports and someone came to me and said, "Hey, I've got an updated one." And that's great, but at the same time, it kind of needs to go through staff. It's no offense to them or anything. They didn't know. But it very much hit me, and I broke down in VC. I was in VC with, like, the best people I could have been in VC with. Work was there.
There was PT.
Yeah.
There was your friend Kayla.
Yeah.
And Reef was also there.
Reef and Vincent, I think, was there.
Yes, Vincent was also there.
We were just having a little vibe, because that was the best way to get through it, to be with friends and just try and get through it. But I broke down at that point, and at that point we went, we can't keep doing this. We have to have something, because if by next cycle it wasn't fixed, I had to quit, because I couldn't keep doing uni and match reports with no help. And that is the point where I say that PT saved LaunchPoint. Without PT, there is no LaunchPoint. Another pillar that if wasn't there, we would not have LaunchPoint as we know it right now. Because PT came in, Wug grabbed PT, dragged him in, and said, make a bot. I can't remember, but PT, what was the time frame you made that bot in?
So I think it was finished by I want to say July. But it was initially the project was initially started in April.
Yep. By that point, if PT hadn't created the bot, it's we wouldn't have been where we were, because I was so done. And Watson's right, the Rev VC was basically LP staff's emotional support. There were several times at 3 a.m. I was sitting with Watson and Vincent and going, I don't know how I'm doing this. But we did, and it was because of PT. Because PT went, I'm making a bot. And he made it, and he got it working. And so now our current staff who do match reports, who I will give a shout out now, the current people on match reports. Obviously Nightwing's heading up match reports. We've got Takimi, Mark, Black Wolf, give me if I've not said your name yet. Oh, and Reef. Reef decided, we gave Reef the choice because he's been here the longest. We asked him which area he wanted to do. He said he wanted to do match reports still, and bless him that he did, because it's hard to find people who want to do match reports. But now with the bot, it's so much easier. Everyone knows how it works now because you can see it as the staff do it. But it's so much easier on the staff to actually create a match report now. I can't show you the document that the bot actually writes to, because it has Discord IDs on it, and I don't want to show those on stream. But PT, do you want to explain a bit how the LaunchPoint Simp works?
Yeah, sure. But before that, can we get another shout out for Moo and also Wug, which she'll expand on later, that just for the amount of work that they've done up until this point, and the fact that we haven't even moved past April of this year, because that's when I came in and that's when the bot work started happening. But they've literally been carrying LaunchPoint. Like, come on. This is a lot of honest work that goes under the radar, honestly. And at the time that I came in, I thought that it just seemed like a lot of work was put onto them, and it was just a lot, mentally, physically for both of them. We're all in uni. Me and Wug are still in uni currently, but at the time that I came in, like we were all in uni. We all have busy lives, but we had this on the side. So
yeah, a lot of love has gone into LaunchPoint.
Yeah. So going in about the LaunchPoint bot, or LaunchPoint Simp as we called it, funny thing about that, when we were, because obviously every bot needs a name. I initially pitched the idea to everyone, and I was just like, yo, what name should we give it? And then we were just like, LaunchPoint Simp. That's very fitting for all of us, especially because like, of course, all of us staff simp for each other, and even at the time we had nicknames within the server where yeah, it was just set to as simps for one another. And of course, for the picture of LaunchPoint Simp, if anyone has noticed, is Wahoo World. I mean, come on, that's a classic for Splatoon 2. Yeah. But yeah, in terms of the bot, it really just automated all that work that Moo had brought up. And just like she mentioned, before you would have to go to each and every cell and change them. Of course, that's gonna take a toll on a person, and it's just a lot of work in general. But it turns out that you can use a bot to automate all of that. And no, so yeah, what the bot basically does is that it takes in commands. You guys have seen it in the new staff match report channel. It would take in a command, it takes in the players that have played, and it takes in a score for them to like the amount of games that was played and how many games that they've won. And it takes that score and it goes into the spreadsheet, and it just adds on the numbers, or it inputs the numbers if they're brand new. But it's really not that simple. Like, of course, I'm verbally saying all of it, but keep in mind that the bot has to do all this. A bot isn't like us, where we're just saying things and it just uses its eyes, quote unquote, to just type things in itself. It's a very systematic way. Like, it has to connect to this API for Google Sheets, and it connects to that, makes the connection, and it uses that connection to just go to each and every cell and input all the data. But in terms of inputting the data, that also has to be systematic. So that had a lot of programming work to go into it, and that's basically the state, or the state of LaunchPoint Simp right now. And like I said, it finished in July, but we're currently in the works of expanding it. Hence why we are looking for bot staff, which actually just concluded earlier. But in terms of that, that's pretty much it. The next step is to expand, and you guys will see that.
Yeah, we are definitely going forward. We have a bot for LaunchPoint because, as you're all aware, everyone who is in LaunchPoint, pinging for people is a little off the rails sometimes, and unfortunately there is nothing we can do to control it. And I've racked my brain on several different occasions thinking, how can we stop people pinging excessively? Because we can't put on slow mode. Slow mode doesn't do anything because anyone can ping. If someone types a message, someone can still message back. It would need to be a slow mode for everyone. Therefore, someone sends a message and they can't send for another bit. So the idea that we had is, when the bot does eventually roll out, is that you would ask the bot to ping, and the bot will only ping if there hasn't been a ping in this amount of time, because otherwise it is a bit off the rails, and we're aware, and unfortunately there is literally nothing we can do to stop it apart from tell people, and people don't always listen.
Yeah, and just to add on to that, Moo, there's just all these little intricacies that we've had to think about, so that like things like that doesn't happen. Like, have you noticed that we have LP staff match report, the channel, for the staff to report in, and everyone else is only allowed to view it. Like, you can't edit or you can't put inputs into it because the bot is connected to that channel. Of course, if we had it public, then people would be able to just go in and put it in themselves. And just like Moo had put it, I mean, some people you just can't trust, and they'll just go in and quote unquote rig the system so that it works for them. And there's just a lot of more of these details that I'm not even mentioning, but we are literally thinking, we have to think about literally every edge case before implementing these things, or else, you know, things are going to go awry. We're going to see people come in help desk, see people are going to talk in general, and we of course we don't want that. This has to be very carefully implemented.
Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest rules of making something like a bot or a system is you've got to make it foolproof. If it's not foolproof, it can break, people can abuse it, people can do so many different things to it, and unfortunately, as much as the world you want to trust everyone, you have to plan for that person who's not going to be nice about it. And that includes everything that PT just said. That includes everything when we deal with anything in the server, really, is when we reply to someone, sometimes we might seem a bit robotic unless we know you. It's because, you know, if we don't know you, we have to be that person who says, hey, this is how it works. We have to give a solid answer. We have to make sure it's foolproof for everyone. Like today, Devil asked just what time was the podcast, and sorry, no, it wasn't Devil. Devil answered the question. Thank you, Devil, for doing that. But I also responded to say, hey, this is what the time is, and I put the Unix stamp because just in case anyone else was wondering. So along with the bot, it's just in general when you're running something like LaunchPoint, you have to be foolproof. PT, is there anything? So we're going to move on to general. We kind of moved on to general LaunchPoint bot stuff anyway. So is there anything you want to talk about in terms of what's coming up?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so in terms of what's the next step for the bot, there's obviously a lot of stuff that we can automate in LaunchPoint, and for the people who are in midpoint, they've seen a bot which so I personally haven't seen how it works because I'm not in midpoint, but the bot apparently handles a lot of the match reporting work. And as you know it now, the stages that match reporting went in is that it's gone from manual, it's gone to using the bot to put in all the match reports, but we can automate that even more. We can have the whole system automate itself, where players just go in and input it themselves. And we're currently thinking of a system to do that. And that's why we're having more bot staff come in, so that we can have help implementing it. And yeah, that's pretty much the next step. And there's a lot of other things that we need to do, and a lot of intricacies that we need to think about. But the next step is even more automation, so that not only is it more smoother for us, but it's also more smoother for the players. One thing that we've noticed recently is that a lot of drafts have stopped happening, but one thing to help improve that is hopefully finishing this new process so that it's just as easy as, okay, I want to play with people in the comp scene. Okay, I'm going to go into LaunchPoint, start a match, ready to go, and then the score and everything, the organization is taken care of. Currently, we've seen the problem where people overping, where it's like at draft +7, at draft +2. Come on, can we get the last one +1? We know that's been a problem, and the new state of the bot would help in this aspect, because it would literally take care of all the organization. It's just about doing it, and obviously this is gonna take a little bit of time, but the moment it gets kickstarted, then we're ready to go.
I also see that a lot of people are saying that Mars was too expensive to keep running. We are trying to figure out a solution to that problem, because obviously if we have a LaunchPoint bot, it needs to run 24/7, and it can't really have a downtime unless the server that we run it on is down. So that is something that we are trying to figure out, whether that be we end up with the Patreon or something. I have to figure out all the, like, if exchanging money does anything, whatever the solution, we do hope to find one, because I don't think LaunchPoint can grow too much further without having something like automation, because, well, it's just home comfort that it's lacking at the moment.
Yeah, and just to add on real quick on that, the bot is not on 24/7 like bots like Rhythm, Dino, and everything. Has anyone noticed that our match reporting staff, shout out to all of them, has anyone noticed that there are only specific time frames where they report? Yeah, we have to set aside shifts, because I need to turn on the bot, because obviously I have the bot and I need to turn it on. Not only does it have to be at a convenient time for them, but it has to be at a convenient time for me too, because like I said, I'm in uni. Sometimes I even turn on the bot during class. And it takes a toll on my computer, but you know, need to turn it on so that we can get the match reports going. And even me myself, I forget sometimes that I can't count the amount of times that I've said sorry to all of our staff. Again, big shout out to them for for dealing with me. I'm so sorry, but um, I'm trying my best out here.
I mean, why are you apologizing? You're sitting in class running a bot for a server that you staff in for free. Like,
and like you already saved the server, so
exactly. You deserve some slack here.
So that's why we need to get the 24/7 server.
We really do. But yeah, LaunchPoint Simp is not a 24/7 bot. It is a PT run bot, which will be kind of defunct once the actual bot comes out because it will handle it. But as it stands right now, you compare the old way match bots have done it and the new, and the difference is night and day. But yeah, so moving on from the bot stuff is onto something that everyone has to go through when they get into LaunchPoint. It's the verification stuff, which Wug is head of. Wug, do you want to take it away?
So Verif started from Cycle 0, where people were just invited loosely around the low skill level. That was all Nightwing and Cobb. The two of them, they chose people. Most of them were fine. They did a great job. And Nightwing was the one who held it up with me throughout Cycle 1. It was very good. It was very smooth. But then by the time that Cycle 1 finished, Nightwing started getting more busy because he was in his final year of uni and he was very determined to do well, which is fine. So I took over. There was no one else on Verif. It was just me. I'd run past the forms past other people, be like, is this okay? Because I wasn't a head admin for a couple of months.
Yep.
It took a little while because somebody needed convincing. I wonder who. And they more or less stayed like that until Cycle 10. Yeah, I ran Verif by myself until Cycle 10. And then we got Lumina and Spicy in, and the two of them, they are the best. I could not be more grateful for the two amazing staff members I've got on my team. So, massive shout out. We love Lumi and we love Spicy. They are incredible. But I can't show you the nitty-gritty. I can't show you the bot because I don't want to reveal all my secrets. But know that the bot is by Slate. Without Slate, there is no verification. Slate is the secret LaunchPoint carry.
It's true.
Very much behind the scenes. But yeah, so when we started, we got roughly 10, would you say 10 forms a week?
Something like that.
Yeah, 10 applications a week, and I'd go through that. Each form taking around 5 to 10 minutes. It depends on how much information you've given me, and then I have to input it somewhere just so I have, we call it form dump.
Yeah.
There is just a chat with all the forms we have ever had, and there's also a sheet doc with it.
Yeah.
There is so much stuff. When match reports were at its peak of about 9 drafts, Verif was also at its peak, and while 50 people would only get accepted a cycle, there was roughly 30 forms a week for me to go through. It all added up quite a lot. I'd spend a good few hours just working on forms. So while Moo was sitting there over the dreaded match reports, I was also sat there doing Verif.
We're kind of in the hell together in our own separate worlds, but also with our backs to each other, like we're both doing this for LaunchPoint.
We just about kept each other sane.
I mean, I don't know, but
okay, we did not. It's a lie. That's not the only form that we've managed. The coaching forms was also introduced, and I pushed for this because I thought it would be really nice to have a coaching system put into place for everybody in LaunchPoint, and Moo agreed, and all of our staff at the time agreed that it would be beneficial for everybody in the server. I'm not sure how much it gets used now, but I hope that it did prove to be useful, because it takes a little bit of work. Not as much work, though. I don't normally touch those. Lumi is the one who goes through those, so once again, shout out to Lumi. She is doing great.
I just want to add on as well, you mentioned that all of the forms go to a sheet doc. We have all of the forms since cycle 1, which is when we started accepting forms. Well, actually we started accepting in cycle 0, and the cycle 0 one we had about 28 forms come in. As of now, we currently have 960 something forms. That's including duplicates, that's including people who were denied for being over or under, that includes all the accepted people. 960 people have applied to be in LaunchPoint over its a year and something of being here and accepting forms. At this point it's a year and so September, a year and 2 months of accepting forms, and almost 1,000 people. And it shows we have 100 in the server now. We have about 400 in LaunchPoint, and we have over 100 graduates.
Yeah.
And it makes me so proud to see that people liked what we did and wanted to use it to their advantage to get places. We have graduates who are in +3 now. People who started in LaunchPoint, people who were air quote noobs, never played in the comp scene before, come into LaunchPoint, have gotten up there, have gone further than you could ever think, because they proved themselves in LaunchPoint. They got better in LaunchPoint, they proved themselves, they networked in midpoint, and just slowly got themselves up there. Off the top of my head, I cannot remember names because I am bad at that. Does anyone... any of the graduates that have really progressed since they left?
The names escape me. Omega is a very good example. The Omega who used to be on Sink or Swim. They have progressed really far, and they got 3rd in our grad edition of the Draft Cup. Absolutely proved why they are one of the best graduates that we've ever had. And I think it's XVC. They have been suggested into +2. Best of luck to them.
Yep.
But it's incredible to see how much people really have grown, and it just proves that system like LaunchPoint works.
It works. It's not, you don't need voting in low level, you really don't. It's all about getting better, just playing. You just need to play the game, get better at the game, ask questions to people who have been there slightly longer than you, and if you just keep doing that, you're gonna improve, because as long as you're playing and looking at what you're doing and going, oh, I could have done that instead. I'll have moments in matches where I go, I should not have done that, but I say I should not have done that, and I change it next time. Well, I try to. But networking is something that high level go on about all the time, and that's what LaunchPoint has helped so many people do. Like, so many teams, we bump into people in League and go, hey, they're from LaunchPoint. I know they came through LaunchPoint. I've seen them in the LaunchPoint server. They're in the general community, and you'll make us so proud.
Very
really
proud.
Do.
I remember seeing when Super Jump happened, CN went 9-0. They beat Knights of Queen. It was like, wow, you started in LaunchPoint.
Yep. Oh yeah, CN's kind of scarred me because of every time I had to ping them because they were in the top leaderboard, I could not ping them for the life of me because their name.
Oh yeah, because the N.
Yeah, the N. Oh my god, that's the one thing in the LaunchPoint server. You guys, I swear, if you have a silly name that I can't ping,
know that we've talked about you.
We have talked about you. We have to resort to using whatever you put in your weapons to actually ping you.
And if you don't have those, we cry a little.
Yeah. Because Discord's janky sometimes, and it doesn't always let us ping. Even if we paste the character that you've got in your name, it still won't find you because it decides not to. But that is the moment. Oh, the amount of times pinging, reworking things in announcements, going, "This is not you. This is also not you. Where are you?" But yeah, we have come a long way.
We have come a very long way.
Very long way.
The 100 graduates say it all. And I'd just like to give a small shout out to two of the first graduates. They weren't the first, but they were very early on, and that's Gaisicle and Strin. They were both the leaderboard top 2 of the original cycle, and they were 2 of the first graduates in the server. Or at least the 2 that made an impact.
Oh man, the Gaisicle Strinford rivalry. I remember that. That was just... Oh. That was so long ago as well. Because I also remember, if you look back at the match reports, Gaisicle and Strinford would actually say, hey, we know that we're good, and they put themselves on the opposite side. They would be captains and go, hey, we know if we're on the same team, it might be a little bit of a struggle. And they earned that, you know, they proved that they were good. I think maybe by being on the same team one too many times and going, oh, maybe not. But that, I always remember that. I remember doing what was it? It was a draft cup. And I think Strimford and Gaisicle's teams, obviously they were captains, went up against each other on stream. And jeez, that was a match. I don't know if... I remember Strimford getting a 25 bomb. And I just... What a rivalry. It goes down as one of the LaunchPoint things to remember, along with Wahoo Zones.
Which is featured in every grand final.
Has anyone noticed this? We put it in every single one. It's just how it works. Where it goes depends, but it's in every single grand final.
It will always be in the first 5 because it's not a LaunchPoint draft cup if Wahoo Zones is not on stream.
Exactly.
Wahoo Zones.
Hey. Speaking of the draft cup, we are going to move on to the draft cup stuff now. And we're also going to bring in Reef. Reef has been with us for a while now. They were... this is going to fit on stream. Yes. They joined the staff... Ooh, I'm going to have to ask them. But they've been with us for a while. They've done many LPDCs, which is why we've decided to bring them on today to just chat with us about running on. So, let me drag you in. Hello Reef, welcome to the LaunchPoint behind the scenes into the control room. I said that all wrong, but hi.
I'm Reef here at LaunchPoint. I help out with the LaunchPoint Draft Cup, and I also help out with match reports. So.
Yeah, I can't remember. Do you remember when you came on board as staff for LaunchPoint? Because it's gone from my mind.
I know I joined probably like about mid to late October or early November last year. That's what I remember.
It would have been at least November because you were there for the December LaunchPoint Draft Cup. I believe that was your first one where you staffed it alongside us.
Oh yeah, that helped.
Yeah, that
for those unaware, LaunchPoint Draft Cup 2, which was in December 2020, was 8 hours long. That is also when we got Stan joining our staffing team, who streamed the first 7 hours of the Draft Cup, and I took over for Grand Finals. But how was staffing that one, Reef?
That one, it was cool because it was fun to be in BC with Wug the whole time and us talking about just like listening to Christmas music and helping out with help desk and everything. But it was definitely long and very tiring. So I remember waking up at like 10 or something, and then like it ending at like 8 o'clock my time.
Oh
So that's
my.
like 9 Eastern. So
Every time I hear about it, I feel so bad. I'm so sorry that happened. But you know what? It was not my fault.
Do you know who to blame? That's Nightwing.
Yeah.
Nightwing said, hey, let's do groups into double a limb. I knew it was going to be a bad idea, but at the time I wasn't a head admin, so I just said, you know what?
And you know what? I was too stupid to know anything about tournaments to know that that was going to happen. I was sitting there when we were getting into Top Cup going, this is going to be hours. What? Why did we do this? Nightwing, I'm going to kill you, who was on comms with me at that time. He earned his credit back because he actually commentated the whole Draft Cup with me. 8 hours of commentating. We were dead afterwards. We deserved it though.
Oh yeah.
For that decision.
If I'm being honest, if I were to commentate that whole time, I would probably lose all of my vocal cords. So
Yep.
good job on that.
My voice was sore the next day. But let's talk a little bit about what happens before Draft Cup, because no one notices this bit either. It's another little bit of production. That form that you fill in to join a Draft Cup was created in September of 2020, and it is the same form, the same document that's just changed every single time, but we use exactly the same document each time, and just edit it, because there's no point in creating another one. It's just we already have so many files. We have files for the leaderboards, we have files for the Draft Cup. We have, actually the leaderboard takes up one file for the public. We have a private one for the leaderboard now, and we also have the one that the bot writes to. And then you've got to take into account that every 10 cycles we have to make a new one, because sheet starts lagging. So we have loads and loads of documents, so we've just decided to keep the same one each time. But each time we've got to go through, is there anything I want to change? Is there anything we can add? Any suggestions that people have put in? Most recent one was pronouns. I am adding it in. I don't know if we can use it anywhere as of now, because we have a lot of limitations. But right now we've started giving the information that people give us, bar seeding and like any personal info, to the captain, so they know what weapons people play, what roles generally people have said they're going to play, just because, you know, it helps out instead of having that conversation and two people go, I'm support. I think one Draft Cup someone went, we have 3 supports. What? You have 3? How do you have 3? You said you guys were flexes. So that is why they've started to get the information, but it's also why the form has changed so much. We went from such minimal information to asking for a friend code now, to asking for pronouns, to asking to, most recently as well, I'm asking people to list their weapons in their preferred order, because people listing weapons is the worst bit about this form. It really is. It sucks, because we have to look at those weapons and go, that's a support, but that's also a backline, but that's also a slayer, and those are the only 3 weapons that they play. So it is a juggling task, which is why we've also added so many disclaimers saying, hey, we can't be liable for what people have said, because that's what they've told us and we have to go by that. So it's all very, the forms and sorting out even the document. We are going to show you the doc that all the forms go to. However, it is heavily edited to make it not safe, but for you guys to be able to view it. We're going to give you a little tour of what we do when the forms come in, because it is a lot, and the only way you're going to get a good idea is by showing you. So what initially happens is we close the, well, actually before we even close it, I set up the document so it can look like this. All of this is conditional. So if I change acceptance from accept to deny, it changes the color. It's all color coded, all sorted out, everything down to whether or not something's a dupe. Even up here to what I need to pull over to building teams. These are all the piece of information that we use when we're building teams. Everything else is done for verification or for informational purposes to give to captains. But yeah, I have to build this doc. It's the same doc each time, but I have to build a new sheet and make sure everything works. So when the Verif staff go in, they can just put in their little accept or deny. It lights up, it does its thing, and then all the way at the bottom we have a nice little counter to show that who's, so our Verif staff don't have to count up, which was happening a couple times. I think one came to me and said, we have this many people. I'm like, how do you know this? I'm like, I counted. Okay, I'm doing that for you. I don't want you sitting there counting it. That's when I can do it in a formula, you know?
I mean, I was really grateful for that. I don't know how much time I spent just counting how many seed 1s do we have. Ooh, that's quite a lot this time. And I'm going, that's a lot of seed 3s. That's not a lot of seed 4. I can't. Yeah, it saves a lot of effort.
Yeah, go.
And you say Verif staff. None of the other verification staff touch this. This is my sheet.
This is true.
Everything that you see on this sheet, Moo enabled me. Pretty much. All the accepts, all the denies, all the dupes, that's my work. The seeding, yep. Everything's carefully verified. I can share a little bit about the seeding system with you in the sense that seed 1s normally just means you made alpha bracket or you have some significant results. And I think, yeah, you are good enough to captain a team. If you are a captain, you are normally a seed 1 or you're a really high seed 2. As you can see, C2, beta bracket, seed 3, gamma bracket. If you get first, second, or third in beta bracket, then I'll put you as a seed 1. If you get first, second, or third in the gamma bracket, then you are a seed 2. And the seed 5 is one that we added more recently because having a bunch of seed 4s where some of them have comp experiences and others don't, it made things quite messy. And so we decided we can put seed 5s on those seed 1 teams where they're getting 4th in alpha and they are just so close to that graduation.
It's yeah, the seed 5s are both helpful and not helpful in the sense that we have to balance the seed 5s and we have to give them to the seed 1s because it's just a balancing of numbers act, really. And unfortunately it doesn't always work out the way we want it. Sometimes we don't have enough seed 1s, we don't have enough seed 3s or seed 4s, and it's just the numbers are just always in flux and it depends every single time. So even down to, I don't know, if we don't, like Wug said, if we don't have enough seed 1s, we have to pick the highest seed 2s, the people we think who can captain a team, but also people who can, like, we can rely on to actually deal with their team, and we have to consider them as a seed 1 but also know that they're not a full seed 1. So it's a lot of balancing, and Reef PT don't know, I think, a lot about this side. This side is usually just me and Wug. We are the ones who sit down, and most recently Lumi as well has started helping out with the making teams if she's not playing. I will say if staff are playing in a LPDC, they are not allowed to look at any of this. The only people who have access to this document is the admins and the Verif staff, and I think Reef might because they needed it for one LPDC. But yeah, this is LPDC is kept very under wraps, which is why I think it functions the way it does. I think it functions quite well because of how controlled it is, because we're the ones making it, because we're not about to be biased on people, in the sense that we're not gonna throw it and give you 4 slayers and no support and give you no paint. We're not gonna give you all backliners, you know. We actually balance it and make sure people have comps, people have everything. At this point, I'm going to take you over to the building teams, which is a separate document, separate sheet. Once the sign-up's closed, I pull everyone who has been accepted into this document. I make all of these little boxes and our own little one, because we have to amuse ourselves in some way. And this is where Wag and I sit down and build the teams. Do you want to talk a bit about what order we do things in?
So when we're building teams, we start normally with the seed 1s and the seed 2s when we need them. Or in the case of a graduate cup, we start with the graduates, who were also seeded on a separate system, just A, B, or C. Are you a grade A, B, C, or C graduate? That is all. I say that's all. It added so many complexities to it. But yeah, we'll stick to a normal draft cup, and we'd seed the seed 1s and the seed 2s, place them all into teams, and say, yes, these are our captains. That's the easy part. From there, it gets a lot harder.
Yep. We have to, as you can see the numbers here, so you've got a seed 1, 2, 3, and a 5. But then this team has got a seed 1, 2, 4, and 4. You've got another that has 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you've got the ones at the end, which are generally where we need to put our seed 2s. You've got a 2, 3, 3, 4. We have to try and balance them as much as possible, as well as not knowing some of these players. It's like we're completely guessing at who you are, what you can do, but we have to take assumptions, and even down to time zones. We try our hardest to put some EU together. I think we did have 2 EU teams in the latest cup, but they are so difficult to find. There is one of them. We do try and put them together, but there are so few EU teams. It's so hard. It's so hard to put EU on a team. So generally what will happen is we'll put 3 NA and 1 EU, or 3 EU and 1 NA, and go, I'm so sorry, but you're going to have to practice as a team of 3 with a sub, and that one person has to be left over, because it's better to synergize 3 people than it is to synergize two pairs and then bring them together. So that's our thinking behind it. But it is just, it's such a struggle sometimes. We even pull in the teams that everyone's on, which I've slightly hidden as well, to check, are they on the same team? No, they're not on the same team. Wait, we can't put them there, they're on the same team, and we have to presume that no one has been on the same team as each other, because that's just something that we don't have the time to check, and it's just going to create more problems if you have been on a team together. So we look at who is on a team together. Go on.
It's a lot more difficult when it comes to EU, because there aren't too many EU teams.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of overlaps. The last 2 draft cups, there hasn't been too much of an issue. But prior to this point, we'd have a lot of, I don't know. What are some really... I've forgotten the EU teams. All of them have just gone.
Yep, all of them gone.
All of them are gone. There'd just be a lot of EU teams, like Nightshade.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of members, or Stan's old team. Incredible.
Yep.
There you go.
Toku.
Thank you, Toku. Well. And trying to seed the teams without accidentally placing 2 players onto the same team, that is a nightmare.
There's been 2 times I think where we finished putting everyone in and we go, wait, are they all on separate teams? And we go through and check, and we find one team where they're on the same team and we can't put them together, and we have to go, well, now we have to change that, but that changed the comp, that changes the time zones, that changes whether or not they want a backliner. Does that comp actually work? So finding pulling people in for it as well is just painful. And that's not to mention the subs.
The subs.
The subs. Before we go fully on subs, we do keep priority subs, and usually that is just the people who are left over from a team. But more recently, we've started to we've taken a full team off, just so we can have some priority subs, because people drop from a draft cup. It's as simple as that. There's not been a draft cup where there's not been a drop in any shape or capacity.
I don't think there's been a single draft cup where we haven't run out of subs.
Yep.
That's why we started taking off so many players and just keeping them ready.
Because people are going to drop.
And we need them.
The Graduate Cup, we took off 2 teams for that.
Yes.
2 teams and I think 2 people. So that's 2 full teams coming off of a tournament just to watch and make sure that we have people to come on as subs in case people drop, which they will.
Yeah, those 2 teams, and whenever we take priority subs, it never covers how many drops we have.
Never.
I could have never predicted that we would have over 30 drops on the Graduate Cup. 8 people ain't gonna cover that.
No. Teams get dissolved all the time. I mean, Reef, you're in help desk usually, or you're usually in help desk running the announcements, so you can see all of. Do you have any stories from help desk from when subs have happened?
I will say this one. I won't go too far in because yeah, but I remember this one time. Coincidentally, it was in the second draft cup. First one I was helping out with. I believe I remember seeing or hearing someone once dropping just because they said that they had to like go for an emergency, and you know that makes sense. That like, you know, that's good, but then
Yeah.
you know, it also like seemed, because I'm pretty sure I remember them also like seeing them later doing something else, you know, so it's a
Yeah.
lot of times to where like drops and subs, like they get too much, and sometimes it's just like frustrating to see so many people dropping out in subs, because that puts a lot of pressure on us to try and find a team or a sub for that team, because it's basically like making a team but in a very short time strain in the middle of a tournament, or like 20 minutes before a tournament, and it puts a lot of pressure on us so that they can keep going, and there isn't that much imbalance anymore, because we can give someone that's either too high and then all of a sudden they start blowing through their opponents, or we
Exactly.
get someone that's too low for them and then it's unbalanced.
This is exactly why we control subs. If you don't control subs in a draft cup like this, you can't be guaranteed that there are going to be fair matches, because it's you can't account for people's skills, you know. You pull in someone who would have been a seed 1 to be on this seed 1's team when their seed 5 has dropped, you're going to breeze through everything. That's not fair on anyone. It's why in the grad cup it was even harder, because you had to balance grads being on teams. You couldn't have more than one grad on a team. You couldn't have more than one grad and a seed 1 on a team. It was all very, it's like a juggling act. And I've always said that LPDCs are a miracle performed by WUG, because no one subs unless WUG says. If you try to sub when WUG hasn't approved it, we have recently added to the rules that you will lose a set. That is how serious we consider it. Because we have to make sure that that teams have a good time, and that means balancing them. That means managing people within teams if people aren't getting along, and creating subs that way as well, which I don't think a lot of people know, because usually that goes behind the scenes. If a team is having problems with their own team and within the team, we deal with that and we get them a sub if we need to remove people. So it's nothing happens in the subs unless WUG says so.
Yeah, sometimes push comes to shove and things are not as balanced as I want them to be. One big example is in the graduate edition, where I was forced to put 2 graduates on one team, and I had to decide, do I think that this graduate will balance the team? And the answer was yes. And so Miss Popcorn ended up being the sub. I will name that because everyone should know it. And yeah, it was
for one round, wasn't it?
It ended up being for the entirety of groups. It was meant to be for one round, but their fourth didn't turn up, and so that was granted. But it was never granted beyond groups. As soon as their fourth came back, that was it.
I think there was a moment after LPDC, that grad LPDC as well, where people got a bit upset that 2 grads were on the same team. But that team didn't make Top Cut, did they?
They made Top Cut. They won the first round that they were in, and then they lost.
Right.
And they ended up getting 4th place after losing to Omega's team.
Right. And I think that goes to show that WUG's choice, like you asked yourself, will this balance the team? If it hadn't have balanced the team, I'm guessing you probably would have folded it or found a different tried to find a different sub, even though that was difficult. If you look back at the way the scores from LPDC, when there aren't 3-0s, when there aren't 5-0s, well, when the brackets are even and the teams are coming out and saying, Jesus, that was a close match, that's when you know WUG has done her job.
Exactly.
Subs and all. Because if WUG doesn't do that job, the most recent LPDC, only one team went 5-0. None of the teams went 0-5 at all. That's because of WUG. And actually, that's because of Lumi as well. Lumi was a last-minute sub on a team that would have gone 5-0. That could have gone 5-0. Sorry. She went in. Their morale was a bit down, and she was like, "Let's just have some fun. This final match. Let's just do it." And they beat the winners of the tournament. I think
They did.
Yep.
They caused the biggest upset that they could have.
Yep. And that is why some of the biggest examples of why we control subs. Initially, people were so confused by it that people were getting annoyed that we were controlling who was going on what team, but they didn't quite understand everything about it. But we've proved that it works, and that's why we continue to do it, and we will continue to do it.
I will also like to say, going back to the 2-1 thing and seeing like people, like going 2-1 or like so there's like a playoff or your best of 5 match, right? And it's like 2-1 or 3-2 or something, then that that gets everyone in staff happy, because that just shows that WUG, she was able to make perfect teams with subs and everything that is as balanced as they could be, and also just seeding the whole team together in brackets. Like, it's an amazing thing to see whenever we see it.
It really is. It's another pillar of LPDC. No words. Is it every time I come out of an LPDC, I'm done with my bit. I'm rather removed from all of that because I'm running stream or that general production aspect. I look at it and go, how the hell did you do that? How do you remember everyone who needs help? How do you remember who you've got left in subs? How do you manage all of that in your head?
And to which I say, I don't know.
Ta-da!
Probably
But
just makes
honestly,
perfect.
none of it would be possible without the people who are on help desk and running announcements. Because in the earlier LaunchPoint draft cups, I never would have been able to manage subs because we had such a small team doing everything. So now having Reef in help desk or announcements, and Toka and Salem and Black Wolf and all these lovely people who are hyping up the stream or doing all of those little jobs, it helps. It really helps.
It's just something that WUG doesn't have to do. Because you need to focus on the subs, you know? There's so much to track that anything else that you're going to do, I don't know how I think we ran an LPDC with 5 people one time, and 3 of them were running the stream. That was LPDC too.
That was LPDC
How did
too.
we run an 8
I
hours?
was thinking,
Oh my god. We ran an 8-hour tournament with 5 people, 2 of which were commentating the whole time, 1 of which was running the stream, 1 of which was managing subs, and Reef was, oh man, doing everything else.
Mhm.
And LPDC 2 was a miracle.
yeah. It honestly, I'm surprised it ran as well as it did. Like, that was so much all at once, but
It is also so nice when people come back after an LPDC and go, that went really well. I really enjoyed it. And we're all sitting back here like panicking, thinking, oh my god, this has gone wrong, this has gone wrong. But if we've not showed you something's gone wrong, we've done our job right.
Yeah, every kind word that you guys put in feedback, we all look at it and know that we love it, and we smile and we appreciate it.
We read every piece of feedback and appreciate all of it. Even anything negative, because we will usually have a reason that we reply to, or we will usually take that on board and do something with it. Like most recently, I had a chat with our commentators and let them know that they should be using gender neutral pronouns. It's something as simple as that. It just makes your feedback makes it so much better, but also so much easier on staff, because we know you had fun, and that's why we're running it.
exactly. Which also, just a reminder, no matter what the tournament is, if you even have something as small like, I had a great time playing in it, put it in feedback or somewhere, so that, because I
Always.
promise you, after a tournament and staff is like all overworked over it, just saying, I like this tournament, thank you for hosting it, just that one thing can make our day in tournament so much better.
Yeah, because we're always worrying whether or not if you're running a tournament, you're doing it, 1, for free, you're doing it off your own back, you've made a production, and something as strenuous as LPDC with subs and actually having to create the teams ourselves, it's just, there's so many things that we're doing, and to know that you guys had the best time is what every TO wants. So just saying thank you to your TOs, this went well, I liked this, and also giving the feedback and saying I didn't like this. Have both of them, because then we know what not to change as well.
Exactly. Especially like, obviously keep that feedback like constructive, you know, but saying things
Yeah.
like, oh, I think you could do better with like cutting down around times, you know, we can try and implement that sometime in the next few draft cups, somehow, some way. It just overall makes the experience better for us, because we know, okay, we got this right, but we also need to find a way to make this better, because honestly, with tournaments, our biggest interest is making sure that the players have fun. And again, hearing, I loved playing today, thank you for hosting, that helps us out. And also just saying, I think X thing could be better next time. That both things help us.
That is literally all we want from people coming out of a tournament.
Did you enjoy it? Yes, we did our job.
Yep, pretty much.
Oh, and if you don't put in feedback, please add us on Twitter or write LaunchPoint somewhere. We'll find it.
Yeah, we have had a snoop on Twitter before. I think Wang and I was just in a VC one time, and you were scrolling through. You were mentioning all this stuff that people have said on LaunchPoint. Like, how are you following this many people? And she's like, I just searched LaunchPoint in the Twitter bar, and it means so much. Even just people who say, I think, who was the most recent person that I saw? Someone got into +3 and they mentioned LaunchPoint. They came from LaunchPoint in their tweet. It's just, it means so much.
Yeah, we can say that we've done our job well, and all of that stuff, but hearing it from you guys, it means the world.
It really does. Because we believe in our stuff. We really do. Every single one of them. That's why we did interviews. It's because we trust staff. We needed to trust everyone. And actually, one of our criteria was we needed to vibe well, which seems superficial. But if you don't get along with people you're working with, it just makes it so much worse. It makes it harder to deal with. It makes you want to walk away, even if it's something that you love. Which is why we had to make sure our staff, we love all of our staff. And we're so thankful that they decided they wanted to staff LaunchPoint of all of the organizations out there. And I'll say it again, because I have on Twitter before, if you want to staff something, consider staffing for asking to staff for an already established organization, because they can always use so much help. Instead of creating your own, help what's existing, because then we can grow more. Because even IPL needs more people, and they've got loads.
They're always recruiting.
Always recruiting. I mean, I've recently started, I've put the streamer and commentator form out to be out there all the time, because we could always use more commentators. That's just the idea around having it out there all the time. It's just we always need more people. If you asked us if there was anything you could do for even LaunchPoint, if we could use your help and you ask us, we'd try and think whether or not you'd be able to help us or not, and can actually consider without having to go through an interview process. Well, we'd like to meet you. I mean, without having to put in any sort of application. Just that conversation there shows you're willing to, reaching out to us, willing to help us. That means everything, because it's hard enough to keep it going. LaunchPoint is 24/7, whether we like it or not. It is.
And if there's anything that we've talked about today that you like the sound of, then, maybe think about getting into it, even if it isn't with LaunchPoint necessarily. There's DSS, there is IPL, there's all sorts of places. Just consider it if you think you have the time, and if you think it's something that you'd be interested in. We've been doing it for a year, and it's one of the best decisions I've made.
There's just no words for how much love I've put into LaunchPoint. And as hellish as some of it became, it's not anymore, because we restructured. And actually that's down to PT. We were supposed to talk about it earlier.
Oh yes, PT.
Yep.
Helped
PT
a lot.
Yep, definitely. When PT came in, when PT came in, he made the bot, but then he also decided to. He became head of bots, which is what we did. We dragged PT and made him make a bot, and then say, hey, do you want this head of bot role? And then PT was kind of like, well, why don't we restructure it? And as it was, I was still doing some match reports. I was still doing bits of everything, really. I think I'm one of the few staff members who have done almost every bit apart from verification. Verification's the only bit I haven't, and even then.
And I'm the only staff member who probably hasn't touched anything else.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's a good idea, because verification is strenuous as it is, so you don't want it mixing with other stuff. But yeah, PT came in, he said, why don't we restructure it and have staff members who don't do everything but do individual bits. PT is the reason why there is such thing as a head of production, head of match reports, because he came in and said we should structure it this way, that way everyone knows what they're supposed to do. And it's worked. It works so much. I don't know why we didn't do it before, but after that recruitment, so if people don't know, we actually all have roles in the server. in the LaunchPoint server, if you click on each one of the admins, you'll see that they have a role. I am head of productions, Wug is head of verification, PT is head of bots, and Nightwing is head of match reports. And each of the staff in the server will have their own role saying what they do, and I think those roles are pingable as well. So if you had a question about match reports and just wanted to ping match report stuff, you could. I mean, other staff might actually answer it because they might know. Like me, I know a lot about match reports now. But if you look at Reef, if you click on Reef's name in the server, you can see he's got a match report on him, because that's what the job that Reef does. It's the same for everyone else. And because of that structure, it allows us to know exactly what we're doing, when we're doing it, and we can run on kind of like autopilot. And we don't actually have many staff meetings because of it. It's only when something big's coming up that we need to have a staff meeting, because everyone knows what they're doing. Everyone knows when things are happening, and it's the driving force is it starts with the admins. We take it to whatever area it needs to go to, and then after that, the whole staff know. It's that structure has helped us so much. And that's thanks to PT.
Yeah, and just to just to add on real quick, if it wasn't evident by what we've been talking about over the course of this stream, in the beginning, a lot of it was Moo, and then just as we talked about, Wug came in, and a lot of the things were just up to them. So at the time that I came in, I just noticed how much they were doing, and while it was really good for everyone else, it came at the cost of themselves, and obviously no one wants that kind of mental stress on them. So when I proposed the new system, because I mean, Moo even said it, she was about to quit, and even Wug at some point was thinking that she was gonna quit. So it was a matter of solving two problems. We needed to have better staff, and we also needed to alleviate staff in the sense that we should be equitably spreading out the work. Or else one person will just have so much work. I mean, there's still a lot of work to do now, but now that we've split things, it's just made it so much easier for everyone.
Reef, do you have any thoughts on the system that we have right now? Any final thoughts, really?
Personally, I just want to say for the new system, it's made match reports infinitely much better. Before, when we were doing it manually on the sheets, it was so tedious to do because it was all mental work. You had to add, it was horrible. There was so much you had to do at once. And at one point, you can dig in the public server's quotes, and you can see, I think it was me or someone else that says, I'm so good at adding 4 now. It's because we always had to add 4 to everything for wins or losses, whatever. If you had to add it so much, it just became second nature to you. So with the new system PT has, with just doing a command and just typing in the match stats, it made it so much better. You'll have to go into the sheet sometimes, edit the private, and then sometimes you may have to put it into the public just to update it and stuff. But I kid you not, it made it so much easier, and I'm really thankful for that. PT, you did an amazing job, and
I also don't know how to respond to compliments.
I don't think any of the staff know how to respond to compliments. We kind of just giggle to ourselves and smile.
Yeah, but Reef, I remember when I was quote unquote training you on how to use the bot, you were just talking about how it was a game changer, and I'm really glad that it was, especially for someone like you who's been on staff for this long, to be able to see it come this way and just notice the convenience.
Yes, it was really easy. Thank you.
All right, so thank you, Ruth, for coming on.
Of course.
Head off now, and we're going to move on to the questions that everyone has asked. So thank you for coming on and sharing your general perspective of all of the LPDCs that's happened. It's been a hell of a ride, and thank you for sticking through with us through all of this and all of the ups and downs that we've had, because there has been a many.
Oh yes.
LPDC 2 as one of them.
It's been an amazing time so far. Even the highs and the lows, whatever. It was amazing. Love everyone here. I love LaunchPoint. Everyone who is here watching this, who is a member of LaunchPoint or just in the server, whatever. Love you. You make LaunchPoint what it is today. Staff just do some of the work, but really it's because of you guys why we're still doing this. So thank you so much for it. But yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Ruth. We will talk to you later. Bye,
See
Ruth.
you all later.
See you later.
Bye.
So now we're going to move on to the questions you've asked us, which
Little Q&A session.
yeah, a little Q&A section. Man, it's been a while. I'm tired of talking already. But some of your questions are quite fun, so I'm quite excited to see them come up.
Yes, we did have a little cheeky, sneaky peek.
Yeah, we had to prepare some things, you know? Okay. So, the first question is from Pam Pam. And do you ever play in the drafts? Do you want to explain first?
Well, for me, I joined the server and thought, wow, finally a place where I can play in drafts. That's great. Yeah, then I got third in Midpoint Draft Cup, so I never actually got to play a draft in LaunchPoint. I got banned immediately.
Hi. I got second in MPDC, and I got banned.
Yeah, so maybe I'm the one this is most relevant to, because
Definitely.
I'm not in midpoint yet. Maybe I'll think about it if I become somewhat less busy, but I'm currently in LaunchPoint, and some of you guys have seen that I've played in a few drafts, but that's the thing, I've only played in a few drafts. I've tried my best to try and fit it in, but I just have too much uni work, and between all the stuff with bot staff, match reports, there's usually not enough time. But I do want to do them, like, when I actually have time. It's just that time doesn't, come often.
And there are plenty of our staff who do get to play in drafts when they get a chance. I think Lumi is probably the one who plays in them the most. And we know that you all love Lumi. Who are some
just the
others?
people that I can-
Salem, yeah.
Mark.
Toka.
Oh,
Mark, the only 2 times LaunchPoint Draft Cup champion, by the way.
Hell yeah.
He's done it twice.
But yeah, PT is the only one who can talk on that, because we both I'd worked on it and we were quite happy to have played in LaunchPoint had we not. Like, I went into MPDC 2 and went, I'm not gonna get anywhere near this. I'm gonna be able to play in LaunchPoint. And then I somehow get second, and all this everything I've been working towards, I'm suddenly not allowed to play in anymore. Which was painful, but...
Yeah, so funny story real quick. Like I said earlier, Wug brought me on because she was the coach of my team at the time, and I feel like I became a staff before I actually became part of, before I started playing in LaunchPoint, and I remember going. So Moonwug, you guys don't know about this, but the times that I've gone into a draft, because of my staff role, everyone's like, "Oh yeah, make PT captain." And I'm like, wait, I actually don't know how the system works.
PT,
and then they're like,
you don't know how LaunchPoint works. I am disappointed.
Well, I mean, eventually I learned after like 2 drafts, but yeah, they were like, "Yo, literally the staff doesn't know," and I'm like,
Yeah, the
I
heads
know, I
really
know
don't
now.
have the
I know
time.
now.
I'm glad you know. Because I don't.
Oh no!
See, this is what I'm talking about, y'all. This is what I'm talking about.
Oh.
Yeah, PT, did you read the rules first?
I read half of them. I read half of them.
I'm so disappointed. I wrote those out for you to read, and you do not read them. Well, you only read half of them.
Well,
It's
to
like
be
terms
fair,
and conditions.
No one wants to read the terms and conditions. I mean, rules of drafts in LaunchPoint.
To be fair, at least I count myself pretty civil. So I'm not the one, or I'm not the type of person to break rules even though I don't know them.
I mean, a lot of players, how LaunchPoint works is people will learn how to play and then they join their first draft club. They don't read the rules fully and everyone else kind of teaches them without meaning to teach them. So it works if you don't. But when you have multiple people, it's their first time and that can get confusing if they don't read it. Yes, Kipper, there are rules. Read them or I will cry. Like I'm crying at PT right now.
Oh my god. Okay, so I swear I'm just making
You really wanna
excuses for
defend
myself at this
yourself.
point.
Yeah.
I'm like making excuses for myself at this point. But also like getting the staff role, I like also got access to the staff channels at the time. So it was all something that I was putting together in my head at the time, and it wasn't all connecting. You know, a lot of things don't connect in my head even now, so.
Alright. Okay, we're gonna go on to the next question, which is from Kipu. How's your day? Been sleep okay and taking care of yourself? Honey, that's a resounding no.
Joe, it's been an okay day. It's been pretty good. I slept terribly. Am I taking care of myself? I'm no comment.
A lot of the admins aren't great at self-preservation.
Or sleep.
What sleep?
Yeah, I can't tell who's worse, PT or me.
PT.
Maybe.
PT is PT.
Okay,
PT's
so
worse.
this question is funny. I feel like Kipu asked this, because recently, I had a DM with them. I forget what it was about off the top of my head, but at the end of it, they saw my status, and my for those that don't know, well, okay, I'm not even gonna mention it, but anyways, they commented on my status, asking if I've been getting sleep lately, and I'm like, that's a good question. So anyways, and it's funny too. For those that don't know, I handled LaunchPoint cycle change. I think it was like 2 cycles ago now. I handled 2 of them, and it's the cycle change happens at 12 p.m. UTC, which would translate to 5 p.m. PST, which is my current time zone. Or did I say 5 p.m.? 5 a.m. I meant
5 a.m. Nugget.
Yeah, 5 a.m. PST. Can you believe that? But so
This man was up at 5 a.m. doing a cycle change. I was sitting there. He said, yeah, it'll be fine. He shared his screen because I was teaching him how to do it. And I looked down in the bottom corner and it's like 4:50. I'm like, what are you doing? Go to sleep. I will do it.
But
So-
are we any better?
You have a point.
So anyways, have I been sleeping okay? Yeah, I would say I've been sleeping okay.
Despite all that. It's just, 5 a.m. until 2 p.m. or something.
I think
Yeah, like
Kippu was also the person in help desk who I said you'll thank me later for not getting rest. I was panicking about this stream. Like I'm the one who produced this stream, got it all set up, got it running, got everyone in the right location at the right time to actually talk on the stream. So this was all me. So when I said in help desk at one point, you'll thank me later for not sleeping, this was it. Very much so. And also and that's coming a bit later. Moving on. Next we have from Sovalis, how do you feel about Wahoo zones on a scale of 1 to 10 or just your opinion?
Well, I mean, from a staffing perspective, I have to say a solid 10.
Yeah.
Of course.
Of course.
From a me perspective, I don't know, it depends what I'm playing. If I'm on support, 10 out of 10 still. Anchor, 10 out of 10. Aggro, negative 10. Get out of here.
Damn.
I do not want to play Wahoo Zones as an aggro player.
I think I like 52 on it, but even then it's hit and miss. Like that stuff that's so hit and miss. That's why I can't put Wahoo as a TO of LaunchPoint 10, but as a player, it depends on my comp, because if you don't go in with the right comp as a Slayer, you're screwed.
Yeah, if it wasn't already evident by LaunchPoint Sip, on its own, Wahoo Zone's definitely a certified Splatoon 2 classic. But yeah, just going off of what Moo and Wug said, as a anchor myself, yeah, I'd say, yeah, pretty good.
Yeah, but Wahoo Zones, if you don't know, Wahoo Zones was here from the beginning when Gay School was on 10. People used to be able to counterpick in LaunchPoint before we gave people a map list. So Wahoo Zones apparently was just coming up all the time. Just all the time, because Gay School was on 10 and 10 is good on Wahoo Zones. So eventually someone made a meme out of it. And that's just, it's always been there. It's the little Easter egg that it's always in the map list, and it's always in an LPDC Grand Final. Because that is just the LaunchPoint legacy at this point. We can't change that. Can't change the legacy. You guys decided it.
Something about Wahoo Zones.
Exactly. Okay, we'll move on to the next question. From Anonymous, can we use Sendu Inc. as a primary map list generator? I put this in here. I wasn't going to do such questions asking us to do stuff about the server, but I did want to address this because currently Maiden Voyage does use Sendu Inc., and we will be moving over to Sendu Inc. as the primary map list generator, which will come when we do a server reform, which is coming up. It's in the plans that we're going to just clean up the server a little bit, and that's when we'll switch over. From Anonymous, is Lumina cracked, and why do you believe so? All of the staff is cracked, so yes.
Yes, staff are correct.
Yeah.
Just all of them, every single one of them. They put so much into this. Like, when we ask them to do something, they'll do it. It's just as simple as that. They do what we need them to do when we need them to do it. Running an LPDC, running the server in general. My production staff generally has to. They come into effect every cycle, or when an LPDC comes along, that's when they're the busiest. Verif working constantly, trying to figure out who has the time to do forms at the moment, whether or not someone has to, be away. Same with the match report stuff. People aren't always around, so some people have to pick up the slack. Most recently, Knight has done. I think he was trying to get to his masters, get into his master's course. So
Yes.
He dropped off the face of Discord, and we picked up his slack so LaunchPoint could keep running, and he managed to achieve it. So well done tonight.
Yep.
Good luck in the future with that.
And currently, I will say that in terms of Verif, I'd say Lumi is carrying verification right now. she has taken my role as I'm taking a little bit of a backseat to focus on my own uni work. So thank you, Lumi, for doing that.
Yep,
Yeah,
and
well,
anyone that
Matchport
PT
first-
recruits as well, they're going to be correct.
Yeah, like I said, the applications for bot staff just closed earlier, so I'll be reaching out to those who applied later. But I I just barely mentioned them earlier, but the match report team, just wanted to name drop all of them. Um, Bash Dash, who actually went on recently on hiatus. Black Wolf, Reef, Mark, Takimi, love y'all, and Knight, love you too, man. Good luck.
Let's move on to question 6. This is another one for me. Will we see previous Draft Cup streams uploaded to YouTube? Unfortunately, that is a no. The previous Draft Cups are a no, because we don't actually have them. So streaming became a bit rocky in the sense that my computer couldn't handle streaming after. So I did LPDC 3, and after that, I started having problems with it, and I couldn't be the primary streamer anymore. So at this point, I would like to give it a shout out to Lepto, Flair, to Vincent, and to Bagaris, who all, and Stan as well, who all held up the mantle while I was trying to get my computer fixed or work better, which I do now. So I will be streaming the next LPDC, hopefully. And they were the reason why we even had streams for the LPDCs. I wasn't able to stream. Unfortunately, it means when someone else streams, it means I have to go and download the VOD, and my computer couldn't take it. It just about did LPDC 2, hence why it's up, which is mad because it was 8 hours. But unfortunately, that's not going to be possible. And yes, the first Draft Cup was streamed. It was me streaming with, I think, Knight and I on comms again. And that was the first time I'd ever commentated anything, first time I streamed a tournament. I did all the graphics for it. I was super proud of it, despite how janky of how it looks. But that is a launch point for you. We find a way. But yeah, thank you, Asine, for asking. We will be doing it in the future. Okay, next question. Where does LaunchPoint see themselves in the future? Still the biggest draft server? Something bigger? Will LaunchPoint operate when Splatoon 3 is released? So a lot of questions there. Let's start with the first one. Where do we see ourselves in the future? That we can't say much about.
We see ourselves there.
We see ourselves in the future. We are in the future. LaunchPoint's in the future, as well as a couple of other things that are going to be in the future that we
all
can't
we're gonna
name.
say, all we're gonna say is stay tuned.
Will we still be the biggest draft server? Yes. I am gonna always keep pushing to make LaunchPoint the biggest draft server it can be, and to give us the people who play in LaunchPoint a place to just practice, no voting, just practice and play the game. And will LaunchPoint operate when Splatoon 3 is released? Yes, but we don't know what we're doing with that yet, in the sense we don't know whether we'll stick. We say you guys have to play Splatoon 2, whether we'll say you have to play Splatoon 3, or we'll leave it up to you. But that is going to be a lot of work, and gonna have to make a decision soon. We'll probably wait for the release date to see how much time we've got, and then sort of make a decision based on that.
Absolutely, I agree with that. We hope to keep running through the lifespan of Splatoon 3, but for now, the details are all a little bit cloudy.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, Splatoon 3 is still very much like in the future, or that's like
Definitely.
farther in the future. So things are still remain up in the air.
It's a lot farther than any plans that we've got. Apart from one, I think. Maybe, we'll see. Depends when it releases. We have to figure that bit out. Okay, moving on to question 8. from Lord Esper. Which of you would make the best cat maid?
PT.
No comments. I don't know what to tell you.
Nope, that answers that question. Next question.
Yeah, PT agrees. There we go.
What? Oh. Hi.
Question 9. Low point for people who don't get into LaunchPoint, maybe. We have our eye on this. That's all we can say. We have our eyes open. We can see that. We see the amount of people we reject.
Yeah, from a very perspective. We see you. We're looking at it. We'll see.
Exactly. Okay, and on to the final question. Anonymous asks, midpoint. Welcome to Draft Cup 7, Ink Odyssey. This time, all of mid-level, not just the graduates, are invited. So we hope to see a lovely 100 graduates back. We hope to see all of mid-level, all the way up to Division 3 back. If you've been in the Plus servers, however, that is a skill cap there. But we are running a low and mid-level Draft Cup on the 5th of December at 5 PM UTC. Make sure you're there.
We are very excited. And I hope that you are too.
Yeah, it's going to be a hell of a lot of work. You've seen what we do in terms of You've heard what we say, what we said in terms of verifying the Graduate Cup. This is going to be
10 times harder.
10 times harder. But we are willing to do it. Because, you know what? There's an announcement at the end of this one as well. We just keep bringing it. Just keep bringing it.
What's gonna come next?
Who knows?
Only us, really. But we know.
LaunchPoint Draft Cup 7, that's what's coming next.
Yeah, that one.
We've always got something planned.
Oh, we do. There are plans upon plans. But yeah, the info is all on the screen for you. We will be posting the announcement on Twitter and on Discord very soon. If Toka, who is actually part of the stream, she's been running the announcements, hasn't posted it already. Look at that, she has. That is production for you. But yeah, that is it for us on the podcast. I think we've talked about everything we wanted to.
Are there any final questions from you in the stream chat?
Yeah, from anyone in the stream chat, if you've got any last minute questions for us. We'll just have to stall a bit because they have to type the questions and the lag in the stream.
Oh, yeah, that's so true.
Yeah.
I'm not good at this bit. We chat. This is also something about. We tend to vibe a lot. The staff server is called LaunchPoint Staff Vibe because we believe that vibing together really it strengthens us and it gives us something fun to do.
It's true. We do love a good vibe. Moo and I are normally the ones we're like the best vibers, or the ones who are there the most.
Yeah.
We don't know how to take a break, even when we met up with each other.
Yeah, when Wag and I met up for each other the first time we met in London, we were sitting in Nando's talking about LaunchPoint,
and future plans. And honestly, that's where a lot of our future plans came from.
It's true. Future plans of LaunchPoint came from a Nando's. You heard it here first.
Yeah, we were eating garlic bread.
Oh yeah, garlic bread is the pinnacle of LaunchPoint staff. If you don't like garlic bread, you're not allowed on LaunchPoint staff. Simple.
Yeah.
Will there be helper applications? Asks Devil.
So helpers aren't actually people who help out in the server. If you help out in the server, you are staff. The people who have the helper role, which I intend to rename to something more fitting, because obviously helper doesn't really give them the credit they deserve. Anyone with a helper role is a reason that LaunchPoint exists. need to give Slate that. Actually, Slate stuff, because Slate is continuing to make LaunchPoint what it is. So Callow was, like I mentioned before, Callow was the person who said, don't do voting, don't call it low point. Restia helped out in the early LPDCs. They helped out with seeding. They still help out with giving us midpoint information about people who've gotten in and everything. And Carbine, obviously the person who came up with the idea, they're all honoured by having the helper role, so it's not actually for active staff. But if you're talking about active staff applications, in the future, yes.
We will be reopening at some point.
At some point. We're not 100% sure when yet, but yes, at some point. Kipu asks, can I be a cat maid with PTW? What do you say, PT?
Well, I didn't necessarily agree to become a cat maid.
Well, you didn't deny it.
Yeah.
But well, to answer your question, Kipu, I cannot confirm nor deny the question. I will have to think further about the cat, like me becoming a cat maid question thing first.
Next
I
Halloween,
will-
maybe.
Perhaps.
We'll bribe you with garlic bread.
Perfect. Also, I still haven't tried naan.
Oh yeah, PT needs garlic naan bread.
That is another meme that came from LaunchPoint. PT's bread man.
Yeah. I also like how that's just an inside joke. The
Yeah,
bread.
a lot of in the staff server before I have to reset it, so he came up as pentagram wheel on stream. It was bread man or bread day.
Yeah.
Why not? I'm pretty sure mine was Moo Moo Meadows at one point. We like to
It
meme
was.
in the staff server. We're very chill about it because you've got to have a bit of fun when you're working on stuff like this. It is, you do it for the love of it, so you've got to have a bit of fun with the people you're working with.
Straight line.
Yes, that's good. Said Breadpoint. Very much so. Breadpoint.
Bread point.
Wasn't that what we did on April 1st?
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
April Fool's, but is
Yeah.
it really a prank? It's just a reality.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not really false, so
Bread point.
Breadpoint.
Red point.
Okay, so that is going to be it for us. Thank you all so much, everyone who's tuned in to watch us and is still with us now. It has been amazing to chat about LaunchPoint because we love it all so much. We wouldn't still be here. We wouldn't be doing this podcast if we didn't love it and if we weren't proud of the way it had gone and where it's going. So we also have to say thank you to everyone in the LaunchPoint community, all the graduates that are still around, everyone, because it just means so much to know that we created a space for low level and you guys like it, and people who made it up to mid level still like it and still want to use it. So thank you all, everyone. You can find me on Twitter at @themu_SPL.
You can find me on Twitter. I'm at @just_wug.
Beauty.
And you can find me on Twitter, literally at Pentagramswheel.
Alright, thank you guys. We will see you at LPDC 7 Ink Odyssey. Bye!
Bye.
See y'all later.